My mother didn't raise her voice. She didn't even look angry. She just stood in the doorway of my childhood bedroom, arms folded across her chest, and said the words that would end everything between us. You need to stop involving outsiders. This is a family matter. Trust the family process. Behind her, my uncle leaned against the hallway wall like he owned the house. My cousin sat on the stairs scrolling through his phone. My half-packed suitcase was still open on the bed. My throat burned. My hands shook. "Mom," I said, my voice cracking. "He took my inheritance. He forged my signature on legal documents. That's not a family matter. That's a crime." She exhaled slowly through her nose, the way she used to when I was 8 and asking too many questions. Like I was exhausting her. "We'll handle it internally," she said. "You're making this ugly." That word hung in the air between us. Ugly. That was the moment I understood something fundamental. They had already chosen each other, and I was not part of that choice. My hands curled into fists at my sides. Heat climbed up my neck until my ears rang. The room felt smaller, like the walls were pressing in. Ugly. That's what she called it. Not theft. Not fraud. Not betrayal. Ugly. I looked from my mother to my uncle, waiting for someone to correct her. My cousin didn't look up from his phone. My uncle's mouth twitched at the corner. And in that second, something inside me went completely quiet. Not angry. Not sad. Just still. Like a switch flipped, and the part of me that wanted their approval turned off. I realized I had been fighting alone this entire time. They weren't my team. They were protecting him. Asking me to be silent was easier than asking him to be honest. My mother shifted her weight, waiting for me to back down. To apologize. To say, "Okay, I'll drop it." I looked at her for a long moment, memorizing her face in that doorway. Then I turned around and started folding my clothes. I left the room without another word. My mother called after me once. I didn't turn around. I walked down the hallway past the framed photos and out the front door. The cold air hit my face. I sat in my car staring at the house I grew up in. Inside, they were probably already talking about me like I wasn't worth the trouble. That night, lying in a motel bed that smelled like cleaning spray, one thought kept circling through my mind. She wants me silent. He wants me small. And then the sentence finally formed, clear and sharp. My mother told me to trust the family process. I trusted the legal one instead. I pulled out my phone and typed a message to the attorney I had consulted 2 weeks earlier. "I'm ready to move forward. File everything." I stared at those words for 10 minutes. Then I hit send. That was it. The point of no return. My name is Rachel Walker. I'm 32 years old, and I work in compliance for a regional financial firm in Ohio. My job revolves around documentation, timelines, and accountability. I spend 40 hours a week making sure people follow the rules. So when I found out that my grandmother's inheritance had been redirected into a family trust controlled by my uncle, I knew exactly what I was looking at. Fraud. Forgery. Financial exploitation. 3 weeks before that bedroom conversation, I had called the bank to ask why my inheritance hadn't arrived. The funds were supposed to transfer after the sale of my grandmother's lake property. Had been 6 months. The woman on the phone hesitated when I asked. "According to our records," she said carefully, "those funds were placed into a family trust. Authorized by you." My stomach dropped. "I never authorized that," I said. There was a long pause. "Do you have time to come in?" That's when I knew something was very, very wrong. The lawyer's office smelled like lemon polish and old carpet. My grandmother's will reading happened on a Tuesday afternoon in March. The room was small and quiet. My grandmother's will was short. She had been a practical woman. Rachel Walker, the lawyer read, is to receive the full proceeds from the sale of the lake property. I felt my chest tighten. She had been so specific. She wrote my name. She made it clear. My uncle shifted beside me. I didn't think anything of it. Later in the parking lot, he put his arm around my shoulders. "Don't worry about managing all that money on your own," he said. "We'll help you. You're young. You don't need that stress. I remember smiling. I remember thanking him. I remember trusting him completely. Weeks passed after the will reading. Then months. Every time I asked my uncle about the timeline, he had an answer. The buyer was finalizing paperwork. Title company was slow. He always sounded calm and confident. I believed him because he was family. Because my grandmother had trusted him with so much. But by the 6th month, something in my gut wouldn't stay quiet. I had handled enough financial transactions at work to know 6 months was not normal. So I called the bank myself. The woman pulled up my account. I heard keyboard clicking. Then silence. Those funds were placed into a family trust. Authorized by you. The words didn't make sense. I never authorized that, I said. Another pause. Ma'am, do you have time to come into the branch? I think you should see the documents. I made an appointment for the next day. That night I couldn't sleep. The bank was cold inside. The woman pulled a file from a locked drawer. Inside was a document labeled Trust Transfer Authorization. The bottom was my signature. At least it looked like my signature. Same loops, same slant, same little underline I always added. I didn't sign this, I said. The woman nodded slowly. Do you remember signing any paperwork related to this trust? I shook my head. My hands were shaking. I never signed anything about a trust, I said. I didn't even know there was a trust. She tapped the document. This was submitted by your uncle. With your authorization. Or what appeared to be your authorization. I felt something cold settle in my chest. What do I do? I asked. She looked at me for a long moment. You should speak to an attorney. I didn't go to a lawyer first. I went to my mother. I drove straight from the bank to her house. I thought if I could explain it calmly, show her the documents, she would understand. She was in the kitchen when I arrived, wiping down counters. She looked up surprised. I set the folder on the kitchen table and sat down. She poured me coffee, then sat across from me. I explained everything. Bank. A signature. The trust one never agreed to. When I finished, she sat there, hands wrapped around her mug, staring at the table. Mom, I said. He forged my signature. She sighed. Rachel, your uncle would never do that intentionally. That word. Intentionally. Like it mattered. Like fraud was okay as long as he meant well. I stared at her, waiting for her to say something else. He didn't. Please don't escalate this, my mother said. It would tear the family apart. I sat across from her, feeling something crack inside. What about me? I asked. She looked away. Toward the window. Anywhere but my face. In that silence, I felt myself shrink. The way I used to when I was a kid and didn't want to upset her. I thought about all the times I had been asked to be understanding. To be flexible. To not make waves. It was always me who had to bend. I just think, she continued, that if we handle this privately, we can work it out. Your uncle wouldn't hurt you on purpose. Purpose. Intentionally. As if the result didn't matter. Picked up my folder. I need to go, I said. Rachel. I have to think about this. Alone. I walked out before she could say anything else. That night, I pulled out an old spiral notebook from my desk drawer. I turned to a blank page and wrote the date at the top. Then I started writing everything. The lawyer's office. The parking lot conversation. The months of delays. The exact words my uncle used. The phone call with the bank. The signature. My mother's response. I didn't know why. But something told me I needed a record. I needed proof I wasn't imagining this. In case something happens, I told myself. I wrote down amounts. Full names. Everything, even small details. The smell of the lawyer's office. The color of the folder. The way my uncle smiled in the parking lot. When I stopped writing, my hand was cramping and the page was full. I turned the page and kept going. By midnight, I had filled 6 pages. 2 days later, my mother called and asked me to come over for a family meeting. Her voice was tight, formal. I knew what that meant. When I arrived, they were waiting. My uncle sat in the armchair like he was holding court. My cousin was on the couch, looking bored. My mother stood near the kitchen. I sat on the piano bench. It felt deliberate. My uncle spoke first. Rachel, I think there's been a misunderstanding. The trust was set up to protect you. I stared at him. I never asked you to set up a trust, I said. He smiled patiently. You didn't have to ask. That's what family does. We protect each other. My mother nodded. My cousin smirked. I realized this wasn't a discussion. It was a verdict. They had already decided how this story would go. I didn't argue. I just listened. And memorized every word. The gaslighting came in layers. You're being emotional, my uncle said. You're overthinking this, my mother added. You always do this. You make things bigger than they need to be. My cousin muttered something. I heard the word dramatic. I smiled tightly. I didn't defend myself. I just sat there and let them talk. Inside I was taking mental notes. Every phrase. Every dismissal. Every time they told me I was wrong to feel what I felt. You should be grateful, my cousin said louder. Most people don't have family who care enough to manage their money. I met his eyes. You're right, I said quietly. I should be grateful. My uncle relaxed. My mother exhaled. They thought I was backing down. I wasn't. I was just done wasting words on people who had already decided not to hear me. That night I added everything to my notebook. And I started looking for an attorney. The lawyer I found was named Ms. Brennan. She had sharp eyes and a reputation for not backing down. I sat across from her and told her everything. I showed her the documents, my notebook, the text messages. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she set her pen down. This is forgery, she said plainly. And financial exploitation. Hearing it named like that felt like oxygen after holding my breath underwater. Someone believed me. What happens now? Yes. She started writing. Now we build a case. We request documents. We get a handwriting expert. We file formal complaints with the financial institutions and possibly law enforcement. My stomach flipped. Law enforcement. My family will hate me, I said. She looked up. Your family already chose a side. Now you get to choose yours. I thought about my mother's face. My uncle's smile. Okay, I said. Let's do it. Ms. Brennan moved fast. Within a week, she filed formal requests for all documents related to the trust. She contacted the bank. She reached out to the title company. She requested my grandmother's original will. She didn't ask my family for permission. She just did what lawyers do. She followed the process. I didn't confront anyone. I didn't call my mother or uncle. I didn't explain myself. I just let the institutions ask the questions. Felt strange at first, like I was being sneaky. But then I remembered what Ms. Brennan said. The truth doesn't need permission. So I stopped apologizing. I just waited. 2 weeks after the first request went out, my uncle received a certified letter. 30 minutes later, my mother called. Her voice was sharp and shaking. Rachel, what did you do? I looked at my notebook, open on the kitchen table. I told the truth, I said. Then I hung up. The denial came fast. My uncle called me 3 times that day. I didn't answer. He left voicemails. His voice shifted from confused to defensive to almost pleading. Rachel, I don't understand why you're doing this. Or family. We can work this out. By the 3rd message, his tone had changed. This is going to hurt everyone. Is that what you want? To destroy this family over a misunderstanding? I saved every voicemail. I forwarded them to Ms. Brennan. Then the stories started shifting. First, he claimed it was a misunderstanding. Then he said he got bad advice. Then he said his memory wasn't clear. Each version contradicted the last. I wrote them all down. My mother called next. She was crying. Please just talk to him. He's willing to fix this. You don't need lawyers. He had 6 months to fix it, I said. He didn't. Because you didn't ask. I shouldn't have to ask for what's already mine, I said. Silence. You're tearing this family apart, she whispered. No. He did that when he forged my name. A financial investigator was assigned to the case. The bank flagged the transfer as suspicious once Ms. Brennan started asking questions. The investigator's name was Mr. Kowalski. He requested interviews with everyone involved. I went first. I sat in a small conference room and answered every question calmly. I brought my notebook. I brought copies of every text, every email, every voicemail. Had dates, timelines, proof. When I finished, Mr. Kowalski leaned back. You keep good records, he said. I work in compliance, I said. It's what I do. He nodded. Most people come in here emotional and scattered. You came in prepared. Shrugged. I just wrote down what happened. He tapped my notebook. This is the difference between a he said she said case and a prosecutable one. For the first time in weeks, I felt something loosen in my chest. I wasn't dramatic. I wasn't emotional. I was credible. My uncle's interview didn't go well. Ms. Brennan got a summary. He stumbled through his answers. He contradicted himself. He claimed he couldn't remember specifics, but then gave very specific reasons for setting up the trust. He said he was trying to help me, that I was too young to manage money, that my grandmother would have wanted him to guide me. But when Mr. Kowalski asked why he didn't discuss it with me first, my uncle went quiet. I thought, he started. You assumed, Mr. Kowalski corrected. That distinction mattered. Assuming wasn't the same as asking. And forging a signature wasn't the same as helping. The investigator also requested the original trust documents. When they arrived, something didn't match. The notary stamp was from a date I had been out of state for work. I had airline receipts to prove it. Ms. Brennan called me that night. We've got him, she said. My hands were shaking. Not from fear. From relief. From vindication. I sat on my couch and cried. Not sad tears. Just release. The family turned on me completely. My cousin stopped answering texts. My mother called less. And when she did, her voice was cold. This has gone too far, she said one night. I was sitting in my car outside the grocery store. Mom, he forged my signature. He stole money that Grandma left to me. How is that not already too far? She was quiet for a long time. You're going to regret this, she said. I thought about my suitcase on the bed. About being told to trust the family process while they protected a thief. No, I said. I really don't think I will. He's family, she said, her voice breaking. So am I said. I hung up before she could answer. I realized I kept waiting for them to choose me, to see my side. But they never would. Because choosing me meant admitting they were wrong. So I stopped waiting. I just moved forward. The forensic handwriting analysis came back 3 weeks later. I was at work when Ms. Brennan called. We have the report, she said. I held my breath. The expert confirmed the signature on the trust document does not match your authenticated samples. The pressure points are inconsistent. The stroke patterns are off. It's a forgery. I sat down. My legs felt weak. So what happens now? Now we present this to the financial institutions and the authorities. Your uncle will be notified. But Rachel, this is solid evidence. He's not going to be able to explain this away. I thanked her and hung up. Then I sat in that conference room for 15 minutes, staring at the wall. I thought about my grandmother. About how hard she worked. About how she left it to me specifically because she trusted me. I thought about my uncle's smile. My mother's silence. My cousin's smirk. And I felt nothing but cold, clean clarity. They had made their choices. Now they would live with the consequences. The hearing was scheduled for a Thursday morning in May. It wasn't a trial. Just a formal review with the bank's compliance board and representatives from the Financial Regulatory Office. Got there early. Ms. Brennan sat beside me reviewing notes. When my uncle arrived, he didn't look at me. He walked past like I was invisible. We were called in together. The room was plain. A long table. Chairs on both sides. A woman in a gray suit sat at the head. They asked my uncle to explain the trust, to walk them through the process. He spoke carefully. He said he was trying to help, that he thought it was best, that he acted in good faith. Then they asked the question that mattered. Mr. Walker, did you discuss this trust with Rachel before filing the paperwork? He hesitated. His lawyer whispered something. I thought she understood, he said. That's not what I asked. Did you speak with her directly? His jaw tightened. No, he said quietly. The room went silent, and I knew it was over. The consequences came swiftly. The trust was frozen immediately. My uncle was removed as trustee. The funds were placed into escrow. But that wasn't all. Because the forgery involved a financial institution, regulators got involved. My uncle held a financial advisory license. That license required a clean record. Within 2 weeks, his license was suspended, then revoked. He lost his job. His professional reputation cracked open in public record. Legal fees mounted. He hired a defense attorney. He tried to negotiate. He offered to return the money and call it even. But Ms. Brennan said no. This isn't about the money anymore. It's about accountability. My mother called me once during this time. She was crying. Please, please just stop this. He's losing everything. I thought about the 6 months he stalled me. The lies. The gaslighting. The way he smiled when my mother told me to trust the family process. He stole from me. And you asked me to stay quiet. She hung up. My mother made one last attempt. She showed up at my apartment on a Saturday morning. I opened the door and there she was, eyes red. Can I come in? I stepped aside. We sat at my kitchen table. I didn't offer coffee. Rachel, I'm asking you as your mother. Please withdraw the complaint. For peace. For the family. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Peace without justice is just silence, I said. She flinched. He made a mistake. People make mistakes. Forgery isn't a mistake, Mom. It's a choice. He chose to steal from me. You chose to defend him. And now you want me to choose silence. I'm done choosing other people over myself. She started crying. Soft, helpless tears that once would have broken me. I can't do this, I said. I'm sorry. But I can't. She left without another word. I watched her walk down the hallway, and I knew that was probably the last real conversation we would ever have. My uncle lost everything piece by piece. First the trust, then his license, then his job, then his standing in the family. And he did it all without me raising my voice once. I didn't yell. I didn't post on social media. I just told the truth to the right people. My mother stopped speaking to me entirely. My cousin sent one nasty text calling me vindictive. I blocked him. Other relatives reached out, confused, asking for my side. I sent them the court documents. Most stopped asking after that. A few reached out quietly to say they were sorry. I appreciated that. But it didn't change anything. The family I thought I had didn't exist anymore. Maybe it never had. That felt like enough. 4 months after the hearing, the escrow account was released. The full inheritance, plus interest, was transferred directly into my personal account. No trust. No middlemen. Just me. Name. My money. I sat at my kitchen table and stared at the bank statement. It wasn't a huge amount. Not life-changing in the lottery sense. But it was mine. My grandmother had worked for it. She had saved it. She had chosen me. And now, finally, I had it. Paid off my car. I put a down payment on a better apartment. I opened a retirement account. I donated some to the women's shelter my grandmother used to volunteer at. 3 months later I moved. Not far. Just far enough. A different zip code. A different neighborhood. I didn't leave a forwarding address with my mother. I just packed my things and left. On my last night, I sat on the floor with my notebook open. I read through the pages. All the dates. All the conversations. All the proof. Then I closed it and put it in a box labeled, Important Documents. Just in case. I haven't spoken to my family since. Not because I'm angry. Not because I'm holding a grudge. But because I'm finally free. Free from the guilt. Free from the pressure to stay small and quiet. Free from pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. I learned something my mother never taught me. Loyalty doesn't mean self-betrayal. Family doesn't mean accepting abuse. And the truth doesn't need anyone's permission. My mother told me to trust the family process. But the family process was designed to protect the people with power. It was designed to keep me quiet. It was designed to make me the problem instead of addressing the actual crime. So I trusted the legal process instead. And the legal process trusted me back. I don't regret it. Not for a second. Some people will say I destroyed my family over money. But those people don't understand. It was never about the money. It was about being seen. Being believed. Being treated like I mattered. I still think about my grandmother sometimes. I wonder if she knew this would happen. If she saw the fractures and tried to protect me the only way she could. I think she'd be proud of me. Not for winning. But for refusing to lose myself in the process. And that's the part that matters most.